Hey guys, hi again. Hope you guys are doing good. Hopefully the past few lessons have been decent and you guys have taken some stuff out of it. Hopefully it hasn't been too bad not being in person. Um, I know obviously I would like to be there, but I can't. So right now we're going to be looking at the influences of media on behavior, which is from pages 550 to 565. Um, Everyone's favorite topic of media and how it affects us. Let's get straight into it. So let's look at the weekly media usage per week, and this was in 2018. So for your phone, adults are using 15 hours a week, teenagers 40 hours a week, which averages out to what, 6 hours a day roughly. And the computer, adults 5, teenagers 12. Gaming, 40 minutes for adults. Teenagers depends if you're male or female. Um, have a look on your phone. You can just go on your settings, screen time if you have an iPhone. If you have an Android, unlucky, I guess. Um, But yeah, have a look. So mine's actually 9 hours. I don't know if you guys can see. 9 hours and 45 minutes per day. But easily take 3 hours off because I watch a movie and fall asleep. Um, so that just shows how much time has changed and how much we're actually on our phone, how much media can influence us on this little device. Let's keep going. So television. So 1 in 6 children between 6 and 7 actually have a TV in their room. Obviously, this just will depend depending on socioeconomic status, whether they can actually afford it or not, whether what their beliefs are. But 1 in 6, so it's quite a lot. It's 15% of people between 6 and 7 have a TV in their room. TV is the most consumed media, still is. Whether you're watching a show on your laptop or whether you're actually watching it on a TV, that's still considered TV. And that's that. It actually has no significant benefit on children under the age of 2. There's no negative or positive stuff because the children are limited in their cognitive abilities. They can't really comprehend what's going on. Parents like to, give them iPads and stuff like that because they believe that toddlers will learn verbal skills while watching TV or watching a show while playing a game. But in reality, they learn it better from their caregivers. Now, effects of TV on children aged 2 plus. It actually affects their behavioral and psychological development. They actually can't comprehend what's fake and what's real, so they think what they're watching is the true reality, and that's what the world around them is like. As we get older, of course, we start to realize the difference between fact and fiction. But as we looked in chapter 9, these misconceptions and these stereotypes that we learn early on are often really hard to get rid of, and it can follow us into adulthood. And go ahead and think of some examples as well. So now let's look at the effects of violence on TV in children. Again, this is looking at young children, not really like 12 plus or even like 10 plus, I would say. Mostly looking at younger children. So violent television it actually influences their behavior and feelings and attitudes. Prolonged exposure to violence leads to children being more likely to display aggressive behavior. It also leads them to be desensitized to violence around them. Um, some people also develop an appetite for that kind of stuff. They want to keep watching it, and in some children it might cause distress purely because what they're seeing is pretty brutal. You'll have a significant immediate effect on them. So continuing on from that, many children have recurrent disturbed memories from violence. So because it's so gory, because it's so violent, they just get scarred from it basically. It can induce fear and anxiety, and they believe the world around them is mean and scary. Again, because what they visualize in the TV is what they believe. It can contribute to beliefs that aggression is acceptable and it's effective behavior. I've already talked about desensitized, and the most important thing is the social context. So, if a parent or a guardian or an adult is around them to actually correctly interpret the show for them and the violence for them, the negative effects are significantly reduced. But if they're just watching it on their own because they don't have the voice of reason, I guess, um, it just has a negative effect. Looking at advertisements, psychologists have realized concerns about the negative influence of ads in children under the age of 8. Because they struggle to understand the persuasive intent of advertisements, they believe that everything they're seeing is true. And also, moving on from 8-year-olds looking to my age, your age, anyone like, who is still developing, it creates basically an idealized life and stereotypes that, create basic toxic beauty standards, gender stereotypes like toxic masculinity, gender roles and stuff like that. And those are the negative effects that ads can actually have. So it's really important not to get consumed by that media and be able to distinguish real from fake. So moving on to video games. So violent video games can increase aggressive behavior in children. It can decrease pro-social behavior, empathy, and sensitivity to aggression. However, there's a lot of conflicting studies because these studies that find that it has negative effects, they don't look at confounding variables, which is variables that can also affect it. So, any mental illnesses, what kind of upbringing they have, any family situations, stuff like that are really, really big indicators as well of violence and aggression. So it's not really, take this with a grain of salt. There's a lot of conflicting studies. So right now, I believe the belief is that while it can have a negative effect, it's not the only thing. The other confounding variables like family and mental illness have a much bigger role in decreasing pro-social behavior, aggression, and stuff like that. Everyone's favorite now, social media. So there's a lot of effects of social media, some positive, some negative. I'm sure you guys can think of some already, but we'll just touch on a few of them. So people often forget that what they post is public most of the time. It can have a negative effect on everything around them. So for instance, when you're seeking employment, good example when I was looking for this job, or when they came to me rather, I had to make sure that all my social medias were fine, that when someone searched up my name, it would just be my LinkedIn, which is a professional page, my Facebook page, which will be private, and no Instagram, no nothing like that. So just because employers will look at that to see what kind of person you are behind the scenes, and it'll affect their like basically getting employed. So pretty on the far end of things, but some of the consequences may be associated with loss of privacy, identity theft, and just cyber safety. So if you happen to click a phishing link or click something like that where they can see information, you're at risk of those. It can also have a negative effect on social skills. Because you're purely not talking face to face, you're talking behind a screen, you kind of lose that social interaction. And you can actually see that. So for the past 2 years, obviously you guys have been online learning. And one of the things that us as teachers realized is that people don't know how to interact with each other anymore. It's just awkward interactions between people. And we're trying to kind of fix it around, but it's interesting to notice. Another negative impact is if you're using your time unwisely on social media, it's a lot of time wasted on social media. Like I said, 6 hours on my phone a day. That's on TikTok, that's on YouTube, that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook, that's on Snapchat. It's not really time well spent. I definitely could have put those 6 hours anywhere else and it'd be better. However, there are a lot of positive impacts of social media, and a lot of them don't get talked about. So, for instance, it can have a really positive impact for people with long distance relationships. So, beforehand, it was literally just phone calls, maybe letters. But now people are able to FaceTime. You see that a lot on TikTok, especially where you see these like long distance couples being able to FaceTime each other every day and stuff like that. Even if it's not like a boyfriend, girlfriend, 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 boyfriend, boyfriend kind of relationship, it's good for families. So I'm able to contact my family across the world through social media, and I stay in touch. It also promotes digital literacy. So you're able to search up things online and actually learn some stuff from it. But it can negatively impact your academic results if it's used unwisely. It has a good effect, it's a positive impact on shy and introverted individuals because it's not that face-to-face contact, they're behind a screen. They feel a lot more, they have a lot more confidence in talking to other people, and it's actually really positive. However, a really, really, really negative thing is social media distorts the way we think people live. So because people only post their positives on social media, that's how you portray that their life is. So, you'll see your idols on social media posting only the positive stuff, or positive, like, you see their relationships is always a positive. You see them going out all the time. You'll see them with their fit bodies. But it's only the best of the best. You only see the highlights, and people misconceive that and thinking that that's what their life should be like, only positives. But in reality, everyone has their negatives, right? So that's a really, really big negative of social media. That's about it for the content. There's this video here. I've put the link. I've also got the video here. It's just how social media drastically affects us. Pretty good YouTube video. It's, I think, 13 or 14 minutes long. It's just food for thought. So it's not going to be in a test or anything, but it's just to get you thinking of social media and what it actually aims to do. And yeah, watch this. It's not really recommended. You have to watch it.
This
Okay, that's not what I want. Okay, so that's it for today. Tasks. So watch a video and email me your thoughts on it and some takeaways from it. So max people, 3 people for a group. Go ahead and email me that. That's due at the end of this class. So make sure it's then. I also want you to reflect. So reflect on your experience in social media. Has it been a net positive? Has it been a net negative? Have different apps given you positive and negatives? And tell me about your time on social media. I'll just be reading through that when I'm back, which will be next week. Step 3 is your learning activity, 10.34 on page 555. And step 4 is the Ed Rollo. So watch the influences of media on individual and group behavior. If you don't get around to that, that is what it is. Other than that, that's it. Hope you guys had a good week. Your homework for the week is whatever learning activities you haven't finished. I'll be checking that next week, and also do the reflection because I'll be checking that next week as well. And again, those emails are due today, so get them into me today.